The Justice Department clears former Customs Bureau Nicanor Faeldon and 11 others of drug charges. This is in connection with a multi-billion drug shipment from China that slipped through customs last May. The decision comes after the department says the PDEA failed to state with clarity the acts supposedly committed by the respondents that would constitute violation of the offense charged. The DOJ also says PDEA had insufficient evidence to establish probable cause for the charges. DOJ also dismisses drug complaint against NBI agents and operatives. It argues the NBI is justified to retain custody of the 500 kilograms of shabu, which they seized, examined, and investigated.
This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. Malacanang comes to President Duterte's defense following his strong words against the human rights official of the United Nations. President Duterte yesterday stood firm in his pronouncement, saying he will slap UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Calamard if she does not stop investigating the killings in his war on drugs. Mr. Duterte lashed out at Calamard for previously bringing to Manila a doctor who said shabu does not cause brain damage. He also criticized the Special Rapporteur for calling out the arrests and killings of drug suspects, saying she already prejudged his drug war. He's the president in his own words.
Sabihin mo sa kanya, harapin ako dito, talagang hirita. Binabastos niya tayo.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights responded to this remark, saying it deplores the repeated insults and threats of physical violence against Calamard by President Duterte and his followers. The UN also calls out what it describes as, quote, prolonged and well-orchestrated trolling operation against Calamard on social media. But presidential spokesman Harry Roque says the UN should not judge the colorful language that President Duterte is known for. Roque points out Duterte was addressing a Filipino audience who he says are used to the chief executive's unorthodox rhetoric.
President Duterte's constantly shifting relationship with the left seems to be taking for the worse yet again. This time, he's training his eyes on the mining industry, whom he says is among the communist movement's primary sources of funding.
All mining companies are paying taxes to the NPA. Without exception yan. If I go against the NPAs, the communists, everybody has to reconfigure your relationship with the NPAs. Because if you continue to support financially, I will close you down.
The president is upset over the latest NPA attacks, including one that killed an infant in Bukidnon. He now wants the peace talks called off, despite previously hinting of his desire to resume negotiations. Detained rebel leaders freed last year to join the talks, he says, should be rearrested.
I will decide in my own time when I will make it official that they are officially connected with the conspiracy, and I'll have to arrest them.
The government is calling off talks with communist rebels. President Duterte said this in a number of speeches, but has yet to issue a formal declaration ending the negotiations. Our senior correspondent David Santos reports.
It was a notice seen forthcoming. Presidential Peace Advisor Jesus Dureza on Wednesday announcing the cancellation of planned meetings to jumpstart the stalled peace talks. These include backdoor negotiations the two peace panels have been quietly working on since the last round of formal talks were scrapped in May.
We need what we always refer to as that environment that will enable conducive to peace negotiation.
Dureza taking his cue from President Duterte, who on Tuesday night lashed out again on the communist movement over recent attacks, including one that killed an infant in Bukidnon.
You tell the guys there's Netherlands. I am no longer available for any official talk. Gera na lang tayo.
Bayan's Renato Reyes' response, cautious defiance.
Pag kami ay tumigil at magpatakot, edi mas matutuwa sila. So tuloy lang ang gawain, tuloy ang laban. May dagdag na pag-iingat, kasi nga hindi mo mabasa rin minsan kung ano ang extreme measures na gagawin.
The Philippine Chamber of Mines denies the president's sweeping statement accusing all mining firms of paying taxes to the CPP-NPA, but they agree that anyone among them, quote, aiding an enemy of the state should have its mining permit revoked. In a statement, the Defense Department is backing the president's move to end the peace talks. Despite repeated pronouncements, the president has yet to issue a written declaration required to formally terminate the peace process. Duterte, in fact, calls this as a setback, which he hopes will only be temporary.
Larry Gadon, the complainant in the impeachment against the Chief Justice, denies that the hearing is a fishing expedition. Several lawmakers point out that some of Gadon's allegations are baseless, are hearsay, and are not based on personal knowledge. Gadon also admitted that he does not have authentic documents to back his claim. But Gadon says he already attached supporting documents in his complaint, and he was able to establish in his allegations that there are grounds to impeach Sereno. Gadon says he's optimistic that the House of Representatives will find probable cause to impeach the Chief Justice. Justice Teresita de Castro issues a response after the complainant against the Chief Justice, Larry Gadon, drags her name in the impeachment testimony. De Castro says she has never released to a reporter named Jomar Canlas any information, report, or document regarding the work of the court. An overwhelming majority of House committee members turned down the motion for the lawyers of the Chief Justice to cross-examine her accuser and witnesses against her. But her lawyers say the fight is far from over. They now want the case to reach the Senate as soon as possible. Our Angel Alimario has more.
With 30 members who voted in favor and 3 against, the motion is carried.
They came, they saw, but failed to conquer their mission to confront complainant attorney Larry Gadon and his witnesses against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno in her impeachment complaint. After the House Justice Committee voted 30 in favor to reject the motion for them to participate, with only 4 against, Sereno's lawyers decided to leave the ongoing proceedings.
I believe this ruling will prevent us from effectively defending the Chief Justice at this level of before the Committee on Justice.
Yung right to cross-examination, nandun sa rules nila. Sila ang nagtanggal nun sa amin. Hindi namin hinihingi na special favor yan.
Her spokespersons say this is a sad day for justice in the country. Attorney Alexander Poblador, Sereno's lead counsel, is eager for the battle to shift to the Senate, which will now serve as the impeachment court.
We are looking forward to have this case brought before the Senate, and we are confident that we will be able to defend the Chief Justice there, consistent with their constitutional rights.
He urges the House Justice Committee to immediately transmit the articles of impeachment to the Senate.
If they believe that Gadon has evidence, if they believe that his complaint is sufficient in form and substance and cite sufficient grounds, why go through this hearing, if not just to provide evidence, which Gadon does not seem to have?
This, however, does not mean they are conceding defeat in the House committee level.
We're not accepting defeat. We're confident in the strength of the defenses of the Chief Justice.
Lawmakers who are non-members of the House Justice Committee slammed the move to bar them from participating in the proceedings.
Ang nakakabahala talaga dito, yung ganitong mga ruling ay lalong naglalantad kung gaano talaga democratic na talaga yung proseso na ginagawa dito sa Kongreso.
Karapatan ng lahat ng miyembro ng Kongreso na lumahok at magtanong sa mga impeachment proceeding.
Ang problema rito, magsiset ito ng maling president dito sa ganitong mga pagdinig sa Kamara. At lumalabas nga dito, it's the tyranny of the majority over the minority.
Lawyers of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno are left with no choice but to resort to rebuttal by email, which for them is deplorable. But it's to ensure their side is heard. It's apparent, they say, the pursuit of truth has been set aside in favor of biased political interest.
President Duterte says he will eventually let the National Police take the lead in his anti-drug war again. He confirmed this during his visit to the Special Operations Command of the Philippine Army in Fort Magsaysay this afternoon. He expressed concern that the drug problem may worsen with the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency leading anti-drug operations. Here's the president in his own words.
But as of now, just to, nilagay ko sa PDEA. But whether I like it or not, I have to return that power to the police. Because surely it will increase the activity of society.
In his earlier speeches, the president said that while he believes that the PDEA is qualified to carry out anti-drug operations, the agency does not have enough manpower to dismantle the drug organization in the country. CNN Philippines earlier spoke to the Chief Justice's legal counsel. Attorney Aldwin Salombides says the battle they're facing is beginning to look like it's about politics. He adds their camp is hoping that the senators will be more fair and would exercise independence in handling the impeachment case.
Mas mabuti pa talagang idiretso na sa Senate and we'll face it there and hopefully we will be given a fair shake.
When
And
you
a
say
better
fair,
opportunity to really exercise the rights of our Chief Justice.
when you say fair shake, what exactly do you mean? What is it in the Senate that you think will give you and your client and the rest of the team of lawyers a fair shake?
We're hoping that the senators who will now be judges in an impeachment court would really be more fair, they would be more judicious, they would have a better understanding and implementation of the law with regard to the rights of an accused in an impeachment case like this. They would be more independent. We would bank on that they would not vote according to party lines or the dictates of leaders in Congress, but would rather exercise independence, probity, and would really apply their minds and intelligence to the issues at hand. More than the law, this is about politics.